This is what I like to use moss poles for. Hi everybody and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today we are chopping up my Queen Anthurium and it's long overdue. I always wanted to do it and every time I kind of just get around to do it, the plant is pushing out a new leaf. Now this time around I thought the same happened again, but it's actually just a, oh my god, big inflow that's coming over here. So I'm gonna chop that one off anyway. Alrighty, so before we go into actually chopping this plant up, let me give you a little bit of background. This was only repotted once in its life so far, and I think it was pretty much, oh my god, hang on, 2 years ago? I think 2 years ago. I'll pop it on screen. And when I potted it up that first time around, I gave it a moss pole, and many people were a bit confused why I give an Anthurium a moss pole. But you can see that over those 2 years, it has climbed up half its pole. Brad, you're blocking the view. Yes, come here. You can here. Be here. Yes, good boy. So it has climbed up half its pole, and if we're looking at the size of the stem, you can see a significant increase in stem size. Now, there's a direct correlation between the size of the stem and the size of the leaf that the plant is going to push out. So you can tell, tiny plants would have been tiny leaves down here, and now it's giving me these huge chunky leaves over here. But overall, it is getting way too large for its IKEA cabinet. I dropped it twice when I was moving, so you can see all of this damage, which I'm not necessarily super excited to look at. So I thought it would be time to chop this up. It has a lot of roots that have grown into the moss pole. Let me put this a bit closer. But, well, I suppose we'll find out in a sec how many roots there really are. And to be 100% honest, I haven't really thought this through, what exactly I'm going to do with her. I feel like it's going to be quite impactful though, like as in it's going to be a big chop. It's not just going to be, oh, let me just quickly repot it. It's like, no, I think I want a full reset of this plant because it is just getting a little bit out of hand. So I think first things first, let me unpot this. So this plant has been hanging in my IKEA cabinet for its whole life now. It's very happy in there, and this is actually a plant that I have actually zip tied the pole to the pot, because the pot, when I initially gave it that pot, I kept the pot very heavy. Oh my god, so root bound. So this mix in here is really just a mix of sand. You can hear it, right? Hear it. Like how sandy it sounds. So it's sand, cocoa peat and perlite. That's the mix that I used for it. So it's not as chunky, so it's not as light. So it was much heavier, so I decided to zip tie it to the pot. Now I think my goal right now is really just to free all of the roots from its current medium, because I have been experimenting with tree fern fiber and it's been giving me amazing results. So I actually want to put this on tree fern fiber. Queens really don't like drying out, and queens also like quite a lot of nutrients. Now I'm not worried about the nutrients because I provide them in, actually her I give it a stronger dilution. It's more like 10 milliliters of Foliage Focus every week, whereas with all my other plants I usually give 5. So she's thirsty, she's hungry. So tree fern fiber to me sounds like a perfect idea, because tree fern fiber has great aeration and drainage, what aeroids love or what roots love in general, but at the same time it has great water retention. So I reckon this is gonna love it. And this plant has a huge root system actually, that's crazy. Am I doing the right thing here right now? Whatever, let's just keep doing what I'm doing. Seems to be, it will be fine, right? Surely. Now I'm gonna take this pole apart. Right, and I'll speed that up because it's a really annoying process of chopping all these cable ties. Alrighty, I opened one side of the moss pole. Let's, oh. Holy moly, look at this. This is what I like to use moss poles for. That is awesome. Okay, one moment. Let me chop the other side. Alrighty, here we go. Look at this. I'll come closer. Look at these roots. Still don't know exactly what I'm gonna do with it next. But what I do know is that I need to clean up a bit because this is making me nervous. I don't really know what to do right now. I don't know if I have any other option but to... I think I just have to get rid of all of the moss in here. I think it's a non-negotiable. So it's gonna take like a decade. So that is the problem with moss. These roots have grown into this moss like crazy. Like, it's gonna take me all day to do that. I don't really have a good way of laying this down. Alright, that's okay. So, I'm just gonna free the roots from the moss and make more mess. Why did I not make this outside? So, let me do that, and yeah, like normally, ideally, I wouldn't do that. Ideally, I would just keep extending the moss pole, but I want to replace it with tree fern fibre, so I suppose I don't want the moss in here anymore. Hey Brad, it's a mess. Don't. Brad, don't. Brad, oh, why are you lying in the mess? Oh, but why are you so cute while you do it? Ooh, I think I'm making progress finally. All right, 15 minutes later, it looks like this. I'm honestly shocked at how many roots there were within the moss pole. So, guys, when I'm saying the moss pole is a vertical extension of your pot, all of this was just in the moss pole, whereas this was in the pot. And look how healthy and chunky these roots are. So, I got rid of as much moss as I can, and that was definitely a process, but the good thing is, once I pot this in tree fern fibre, I don't really have to repeat that process again because tree fern fibre should be much easier to be removed later. Now, I'm gonna try and actually keep the mesh intact. Oh my god, I made it! Well, of course not without any casualties, but that's okay. So, mesh and the plastic bit are kept intact as well, so all good. So, this is the queen. Now, with a sharp knife, I'm gonna choose where I will change this. So, I reckon... Is this gonna be okay? Yes. Oh my god, there's so many roots, I can't really decide where to chop. Okay, I reckon I'll just chop here. Alright, this is gonna be my new top cutting. Now it is throwing out an inflow over here right now, but I do not want it to focus any or like lose any energy on throwing an inflow. I have nothing to pollinate it with at the moment anyway, so I'm just going to chop that off. So this is number one. I'll just let the cut colors over for just a hot minute. In the meantime, I have this, which, you guessed it, I'm going to turn into a bunch of cuttings. One. Now, queens have really small internodal spacing, so I don't really want to cut them into single nodes. I just keep them in double nodes, so they have 2 roots as well. Because if each cutting has at least 2 roots, if something happens with one of them, I have like a security. And here. Another one, this one has 3 roots, and then the stomp. So I'll let these cuts dry out for a minute and I'll just clean up in the meantime, because I do not operate well in messy space. Alrighty, and we're back. It's been maybe like 10-15 minutes. You could easily let it dry out for an hour or so, but I wanna be done with this. So, what am I gonna do? Let's pot up the big one first, because that's gonna be like my main plant that I'm gonna put back in the IKEA cabinet as well. So, given the size of the large root system, and I did a video on this recently where I said choose the size of the pot according to the root system. Now, that's a good fit for me. Now, that's a 20 centimeter pot. The roots will have plenty of room in here, and I can pot a new pole in here as well. Now, always put the pole at the very bottom of the pot so that it's nice and stable. And this is going to go back in my IKEA cabinet, and normally I don't choose large pots for my IKEA cabinet, but this time it's going to be at the very bottom of my cabinet. It's not going to hang there, it's going to sit there, so the bigger pot is totally fine. So, all of these roots I want them on this side. So I can pop this back in here, and I'm going to move this in and jiggle all the roots in here. Beautiful. Alrighty, now let's talk about the mix that I made. I made a mix that I've been trialing a couple of times and had great success, and it's basically very tree fern fibre heavy. Tree fern fibre is a New Zealand tree fern fibre, and I talk about it in my potting mix video as well if you want a little bit more information. But basically it has great water retention but still great aeration and drainage at the same time. Now I mixed a bit of perlite, pumice, bark and sand in here as well. So it's a pretty fine mix. I usually don't use fine mixes like that for my aeroids, but my queen seems to really like it. She really doesn't want to dry out, and the tree fern fibre is going to make sure this is just not going to dry out anytime soon. Alrighty, happy days. That's it. Now what I'll do is, I don't like this leaf here. It annoyed me. So here we go. We've got 3 leaves on here. Now I just need to fill the actual pole, and I fill the pole with the exact same substrate. Alrighty, here we go. Number 1, I'll park it on the side. Alright, let's move on to the other cuttings. Again, I'm choosing a pot according to the size of the root system. So even like this, for example, it doesn't have any leaves. According to the leaves, I should choose no pot. I'm going to choose the pot according to the size of the roots. So this one will go into a 14 centimeter pot. Beauty. Next, we've got 2. I'm actually going to pot them up together. And yes, this pot size is quite small. I could probably go a little larger, but I'm running out of substrates and I don't want to mix more, so that's it. A top tip, if you're worried about stem rot, see how I just kind of made the stems hover and really just the roots go into the pot, so the stem itself is not inside the pot, so it can't rot. And last one. This one actually came with a leaf, happy days, but even if it doesn't have leaves, these plants can easily reshoot. And let's go. Oh my god, did I just make the perfect amount of substrate for this? I just did. Oh my god, I love when things just work out. Alrighty, and that's it. So due to my moss pole and the propagation benefits of the moss pole, I was able to cut my queen without really losing the big leaves into 4, or actually 5. These ones are 2, 5. And I could have gone smaller, right? All of these are 2 nodes, or at least 2 nodes, some of them 3. Once they reshoot, I might actually chop the stem again, but just for now, I didn't want to induce too much shock or stress all at once. Now I'm going to give these a thorough watering, and then I'm going to try and put as many of those back into my IKEA cabinet because, well, they came from the IKEA cabinet and I already induced a lot of shock with chopping. So I don't want to create more shock to the plant based on now changing environmental conditions as well. One other thing I sometimes do, I don't really think I need to anymore with this, but sometimes I use a piece of twine. I clip it to, I'll tie it to the petiole, and then I can kind of tie it to the pole to give this plant a neater look. But I think I don't really need it at the moment. The plant is pretty contained within itself. Alrighty, thank you so much for watching. I hope I gave you some confidence to maybe just go ahead and chop your plants, and I hope I also inspired you to maybe put some of your anthuriums on a moss pole. Thanks again for watching, like, subscribe, and leave a nice comment, and I'll see you next time.